Norway is located on the Scandinavian peninsula, approximately 4,500 miles from Florida. On a map, the Scandinavian peninsula looks like a lying tiger. The Romsdalen Valley is located in the area of this tiger's left ear. Once upon a time, in the Romsdalen Valley, there was a wedding of trolls. And of course, it took place at night, as everyone knows that the trolls can't stand the sunlight. The wedding procession walked along the road. The trolls livened up and became reckless. They didn't notice the sunrise and turned to stone. That was how the mountain wall called the Troll Wall, in English, or Trollveggen, in Norwegian, appeared. It separates two valleys, Romsdalen and Valdalen. Local residents had to walk from one valley to another along winding and dangerous mountain paths. At the late 19th century, the engineer Nils Hovdenak thoroughly explored this area and justified the possibility of building an automobile road. However, the local authorities were sure that it would be impossible to implement such a complex project. In 1906 to 1913, a road for horse-drawn carts, which connected the valleys, was built. Nils Hovdenak kept promoting his idea of an automobile road, and his efforts were crowned with success. Trollstigen, a serpentine mountain road, consisting of 11 hairpin bends, was built between 1928 and 1936. Nils Hovdenak predicted back in 1912 that this road would become a tourist attraction. In 2012, Trollstigen received the National Tourist Route status. The Serpentine Mountain Road makes it possible to ascend a steep slope of a mountain wall to the height of 858 meters. On the way up, in some places, the steep incline is 10%. This slope means an increase, or decrease, of the height by 10% per unit length. That is, the height difference on a 1 kilometer section is 100 meters. Some turns of Trollstigen reach 180 degrees, it's practically a U-turn. Therefore, vehicles longer than 12.4 meters are prohibited here. About halfway up the climb, there is a bridge, Stigfossbrua. Its length is about 30 meters. The bridge spans the Stigfossen waterfall, which height is approximately 180 meters. At the very top, there are many gift shops and a parking lot. Not far from the parking lot, there's a viewing platform that offers views of the surrounding mountains and the Stigfossen waterfall. The width of the road in some places doesn't exceed 3.3 meters. Right near the road with no curbs, there's a steep, and the only road safety barriers are small natural stones along the road. That's why Trollstigen is open only from mid-May to October. This period may sometimes be shorter or longer due to weather conditions. Norway is an austere and beautiful country where extraordinary people live. Let's get acquainted with two of them. On 3 August 1872, in Charlottenlund Palace, the Prince Karl of Denmark, from the House of Glucksburg, was born. He was the youngest in the family. His chances of ever becoming King of Denmark were small. Thus, Karl graduated from the Naval Academy and served in the Royal Danish Navy. Everything changed dramatically in 1905. When Norway became an independent state, leaving the dynastic union with Sweden. In July 1905, the Prime Minister of Norway sent Fridtjof Nansen to Copenhagen on a secret mission, to convince Prince Karl of Denmark to take the Norwegian throne. As required by Prince Karl, a referendum was organized, during which 79% of Norwegians voted in favor of maintaining the monarchy in the country. On 18 November 1905, the Danish prince was elected King of Norway. He took the Old Norse name of Haakon. On 31 July 1936, Haakon VII personally accepted the launch of the road between Romsdalen and Valldalen. The document on acceptance of the road says that King was asked to give the road a name, and he called it Trollstigen, which means the Troll Path. During Nazi Germany's attack in April 1940, Haakon VII refused to recognize the capitulation and puppet government. The king and the government managed to leave the capital half an hour before the German troops appeared. Haakon VII and Crown Prince Olav hid in a forest cabin in the Malsebdalen Valley until their evacuation to the UK, in June 1940. The king's monogram, H7, became a symbol of resistance in Norway. Many Norwegians wore clothes with Haakon's H7 monogram as a sign of solidarity with their exiled king and government. After the war ended, King and his family returned to Norway. Haakon VII ruled Norway from 1905 to 1957 and had considerable moral authority with its people, for whom he was a symbol of Norway's independence and unity. The Norwegian explorer, scientist, diplomat, and humanitarian Fridtjof Nansen was a friend of the royal family. Like King Haakon, his life was full of sharp turns. Here are some of them. At the age of 21, he sailed on a fishing vessel called Viking to the Arctic Ocean to study the biology of seals. During this voyage, Nansen discovered driftwood in the ice, a tree from Siberia carried into the ocean by a river. It led him to an idea that there's a constant drift of the sea ice, a phenomenon that can be used to study the Arctic Ocean. For the next 6 years, Nansen worked in the zoology department of the Bergen Museum, studying nervous systems and cells of various animals. Still, the Arctic continued to interest Nansen. In 1888 to 1889, Nansen and his companions managed to cross Greenland on skis from east to west, covering about 500 kilometers. They returned to their homeland, Norway, on 30 May 1889 as triumphators. In 1893, Nansen went on a polar expedition on a wooden sail motor schooner, designed and built specifically for long-term drift in pack ice. Its launch was an event of a national scale. The Norwegian parliament interrupted its meeting so that deputies could go down to the embankment and see off the ship, Fram. For the first time in the world, the travelers deliberately froze their expedition ship into the pack ice, over 3 meters thick, and drifted with this ice, exploring the Arctic Ocean. The attempt of Nansen and Hjalmar Johansen to reach the North Pole on dog sledges wasn't successful, but they were able to get to it closer than any other travelers before them. And this polar expedition of the 19th century became the first one during which not a single person was lost. In addition to his travels and researches, Nansen actively participated in the fight for Norwegian independence. In 1906, he became the first Norwegian ambassador to Great Britain. In October 1918, Nansen was elected president of the Norwegian League of Nations Society. League of Nations was the first worldwide intergovernmental organization, which principal mission was to maintain world peace. In 1922, Nansen as the League's High Commissioner for Refugees suggested the idea of the Nansen Passport, an identity card for stateless persons, which allowed refugees to legally cross borders, look for work, etc. In 1922, Nansen was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work for the repatriation of the prisoners of war, for helping the people afflicted by famine in Russia, and his present work for the refugees in Asia Minor and Thrace. Nansen used to say, "Rooted deep in the nature of every one of us is the spirit of adventure, the call of the wild, vibrating under all our actions, making life deeper and higher and nobler." Trollstigen is always full of adventures. For example, if some careless cloud gets caught on a mountain.